Well, hello and a very good morning. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi. Joining me here in the studio is my colleague and ardent newspaper reader, Varghese P. Abraham. And what we're essentially up to every day at 8 a.m. is to take a look at the overnight developments, is to take a look at the top headlines across English newspapers, Hindi dailies, dailies from down south. And that's not all. We'll also take a look at some tabloid headlines. Varghese helps us with a keener focus on Kerala as well. But like I said, that's not all. Of course, we're also going to be looking at what the social media is abuzz with. Any viral video, we'll put it up on the big wall over there. And there's a meme that's doing the rounds. Well, meme lord Varghese P. Abraham here will, of course, take us through those memes as well. A list of stories that we, of course, have jotted down for you to stay updated and catch the news pulse of the day. And when we're trying so hard to break these newsroom barriers, these rigid walls and structures, how about you also help us and meet us halfway? Get down in the comment sections, tell us what is it that you would want us to do. This is essentially an editorial meet that we want you, the viewers, to become a part of, because we're doing this for you by the end of the day, isn't it? Now, Varghese, according to the list that we have jotted down, of course, the first and foremost thing that one has to talk about is what everybody's talking about is the I.N.D.I.A. meet. That's what everybody's talking about. That bloc, the opposition alliance bloc, is going to meet today. There's a lot on the agenda, but it seems like the common minimum program and a logo, symbol, those kind of administrative hurdles are going to be, dealt with first.
And also remember, there was this big clamor that was going, is everyone saying that, our leader will be the PM candidate. Our leader is good enough to be the PM.
Who's going to be the PM candidate?
To be the PM?
But anyway, lots of ifs and buts before that.
Yeah, but one party has come out openly saying that we are not in the race. So let's talk about
it. All right, well, a lot to talk about that, and a crucial meet in Maharashtra on that today. I'm reading here on the front page of the Dainik Bhaskar, Imran Khan's verdict in the Tosha Khana case, that got suspended, but it seems like that has irked the army. It says here, Imran ko rahat se fauj khafa, पूर्व ISI chief नजरबंद. अब नजरबंद में detainment हुई है या फिर arrest हुआ है, that is something that we'll go through when we cover this particular news aspect. A UN agency report has come out with some startling figures. It says 74% in India do not intake a healthy diet. 74%. I know the number is going to get even more gruesome and ghastly when we talk about who's getting food in the first place. Food security becoming the bigger question there. But of course, 74% not getting a healthy diet. I mean, that's something that we'll have to look at. On the front page over here, Varghese, 2 crimes that have taken place in the National Capital Region. NCR's crime spurt, that's going to be our focus as well. And why we're talking about that, ladies and gentlemen, is because, well, hey, you've got a Ghaziabad lawyer who got a threat on a phone call and got killed the next day, and an Amazon executive was killed in the national capital as well. Some of the top stories, do stay on with us. We'll bring you the latest pictures as the rover turns around, clicks the picture of the lander in itself, and Aditya-L1 that's already known on the 2nd of September. G-20, you name it, people are talking about it, about walls, flyovers getting decked up, about police getting barb cutters to break away protests. There are special curbs that have been placed for protesting during the G20 summit. So the good, the bad, the ugly about the G20 summit and the preparations around it, that's also going to be our focus. Ladies and gentlemen, continue to be with us. Let's quickly shift our focus. And we're also going to talk about Manipur. Let's not forget, CBI is now has taken over the Manipur cases, 27 of those cases, 19 related to atrocities and crimes against women. That's also going to be our focus. First and foremost, I'm going to read here. This is the Tribune that I have with me here in my hand, and it essentially in the top page over here says, I.N.D.I.A. leaders to meet today. Seat sharing and a common minimum program is on the agenda. 28 parties to attend. Opposition alliance says it has many prime ministerial faces. BJP has just the one. The BJP is going to come out quickly say, well, you know what, we're confident. We know what we're doing. We're not confused or dilly-dallying like you are. Let me just read out a couple of salient infographics here on the top page, Varghese, and then we'll go across to what other newspaper dailies have. So yesterday, of course, there was that big conference. We saw all the Maharashtra Congress leaders and of course Uddhav Thackeray over there as well. Mamata Banerjee came, Varghese. Mamata Banerjee tied a rakhi to Uddhav Thackeray. Mamata Banerjee went and met the Bachchans also. So it was already the ball had started rolling. Things were in motion. Now the Bloc is going to unveil their logo today.
Okay.
I.N.D.I.A. will also unveil its logo, which will help the partners connect with the voters. 63 delegates will attend the meeting representing 28 political parties. Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Mallikarjun Kharge, M.K. Stalin, Mamata Banerjee, Arvind Kejriwal, Nitish Kumar, Sharad Pawar, Uddhav Thackeray, Hemant Soren among the top leaders who are going to be attending this particular meeting.
Almost 6 chief ministers are also going to be in that meeting.
Absolutely. You've got a lot of chief ministers in this I.N.D.I.A bloc. That's actually a good observation. Now, regional parties' role, that is going to be very crucial here. The two-day meet will also discuss the role of regional parties in the backdrop of the split in the Shiv Sena and the Nationalist Congress Party. And you still don't know what's happening between the Pawars. And that's the beauty of the neutrals out there who are trying to, look for an exciting game. Just one more thing. Mayawati says will go solo. BSP chief Mayawati said there was no question of her party joining hands with the NDA or the I.N.D.A grouping. So the common minimum program, what do you think that's going to entail? Yesterday we had that massive long press conference, so much that was already declared in that press conference. So expect a logo today?
You can expect a logo today, and also some key features that, as you were in fact pointing out, the India leaders might also fix timelines for key tasks. That's what the Hindustan Times is saying. Evolve a social media plan. Now, just imagine how important social media has also become quite important for all of them. Fix the schedule for the next meeting to be held in North India.
Visuals, Varghese. This very morning. Look at the preparation visuals.
Well, and consider a few resolutions, including one on electronic voting machines, said the leaders cited above. So after, the last one is in Bengaluru, this one is in Mumbai, and next will be in North India. I'll be quite curious to find out which would be that location. But the contentious issue of working panels, especially the 11-member coordination committee to handle secretarial work and operational tasks may generate differences in the meeting, is what the Hindustan Times is in fact saying. But for me, very interestingly enough, there were these big questions that were being asked, and who is going to be the Prime Minister?
Lalu Prasad Yadav has said. Take a look at what Lalu Prasad Yadav has said. And Lalu Prasad Yadav, this person, I mean, that he means it when he says something. And when he was leaving for Maharashtra, he was saying ki Natiya damane ja rahe hain Pradhan Mantri ka, which means, basically I'm going to go grab the Prime Minister. That's the kind of ambition and morale is with which Lalu Prasad Yadav conducts himself, even at this age, even after fighting so many ailments. May I quickly read this little quote? It says, Rashtriya Janata Dal Chief and former Chief Minister of Bihar, Lalu Prasad Yadav, who has reached Mumbai to take part in the meeting of opposition parties, said a decision regarding the appointment of a national convener for the I.N.D.A bloc will be taken today. It will be decided tomorrow, Lalu Prasad Yadav said, answering a query. The agenda will be to make preparations for the times ahead. Elections are approaching. If candidates have to be decided, we need to sit together. The third meeting of opposition parties is scheduled to take place in Mumbai, ladies and gentlemen, today and tomorrow. The opposition parties held the second meeting in Bengaluru and decided to call their alliance I.N.D.I.A. So a big decision that was taken in Bengaluru. What big decision is going to come up today?
Well, interestingly enough also, you remember the kind of, everyone saying that, our leaders also were to begin the Prime Minister, the big question of who is going to be PM. There's a reaction coming in from Atishi from AAP. Kejriwal is not in the race for PM's post is what she's saying. Delhi Minister Atishi on Wednesday said Aam Aadmi Party National Convener Arvind Kejriwal is not in the race for the Prime Minister's post hours after party's chief spokesperson Priyanka Kakkar batted for him as India Bloc's PM candidate. So,
right.
So we know that AAP is not in the fray.
But we've got a reaction from the Aam Aadmi Party, and we've got a reaction from the Congress as well. Supriya Shrinet and Raghav Chadha. Let's listen into those reactions and we'll come back for more, ladies and gentlemen.
इंडिया अलायंस एक अपनी थर्ड सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बैठक करने जा रहा है. पहली बैठक पटना में हुई जिसपे मीटिंग ऑफ माइंड्स हुआ, सब साथ आए और इस देश को बेरोजगारी से, महंगाई से, एग्रेरियन क्राइसिस से मुक्ति दिलाएं, उसका एक फैसला लिया गया. बेंगलोर की बैठक में सब साथ आए और सबने इस अलायंस का क्या स्वरूप होगा, क्या नाम होगा, उसका नामकरण किया. अब तीसरी महत्वपूर्ण बैठक जो मुंबई में की जा रही है, जो 31 अगस्त और 1 सितंबर को की जाएगी, उसमें आगे का क्या एजेंडा होगा, कौन से वो मुख्य मुद्दे हैं जिसका समाधान लेकर हम जनता के बीच जाएंगे, क्या हमारा ब्लूप्रिंट होगा, भारत देश को फिर से आगे बढ़ने की, तरक्की की राह पर कैसे लेकर जाना है, लोगों की रोजमर्रा की जीवन में कैसे हम बेहतरी ला सकते हैं, कैसे उनकी आमदनी बढ़ा सकते हैं, कैसे उनका खर्च कम कर सकते हैं, कैसे उन्हें अच्छी शिक्षा, अच्छा इलाज दे सकते हैं, इन विषयों पर चर्चा होगी और उसको कैसे आगे लोगों तक लेकर जाना है, इस पर उसका एक पूरा प्लान बनेगा, एक ब्लूप्रिंट बनेगा.
On this government, but I think the way he was suspended, you know, revocation is one thing. What did he do? He is the leader of the largest opposition party. Why did you suspend him? Because he was raising issues that matter to this country? Because he was talking about Manipur? Because he was trying to lay threadbare how grossly you have misadministered Manipur? I mean, the fact that he was suspended in the first place leaves a lot to be desired, and a lot of questions need to be answered by this government. Not just him. The way they had suspended politicians across the spectrum. So anybody who wants to now speak in parliament will be suspended by this high-handed government. I think better sense has prevailed, and I think democracy demands that MPs, leaders cannot be suspended just because they don't toe your line.
Supriya Srinath over there talking about Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary's revocation of the suspension.
But with regard to this India ranks also, something interesting has come from Sharad Pawar, you know, one of those groupings we were talking about, like what is the role of the regional parties. Well, he's given a very interesting statement. He said that more parties joining I.N.D.I.A ranks, says Sharad Pawar on eve of the meet. We have several choices for PM's post, again on the PM's factor, but the BJP has one person, just like how you in fact pointed out, for the past 10 years, says Uddhav
I
Thackeray.
think this is going to work in favor of the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Adding that as the opposition alliance grows stronger, the union government will start distributing LPG cylinders for free.
Absolutely. You know what? We've got quite a few watching the stream right now. For all those that are tuning in to News 9 Live right now, ladies and gentlemen, get down in the comment sections. Tell us what you feel. What about Sharad Pawar's latest claim that we've got so many PM faces, but the BJP has just the one? Does it favor the Bharatiya Janata Party or does it favor the opposition bloc more? Get down in the comment sections. Let us know. Varghese, take a look at this. It says here with a big question mark, and this is certainly a big question mark, which says Kharge to be the I.N.D.I.A convener? Question mark.
Oh, that's
what they're asking.
Position, yeah.
Ahead of the Mumbai meet, AICC President Mallikarjun Kharge's name is doing the rounds as a plausible candidate for the convener of the I.N.D.I.A bloc. Now, of course, Mallikarjun Kharge has shown that after he became the president, they have won a couple of states. They have got that thumping majority in Karnataka.
He's a senior
and he's
leader.
been able to keep the flock together in terms of acting as a glue in this large, democratically functioning party
also,
like the Congress calls itself.
Kharge has proven his mettle when it comes to the fact that he keeps the relationships going on with other parties also.
Right.
So he does a lot of backroom talks as well.
And more than that, in the latest CWC, you've got all these dissenting G23 leaders who again made their way back in.
Also, yeah, and
that's
also,
because Kharge reached out.
Let us not forget that Kharge is a prominent Dalit face as well.
Absolutely.
So all these factors and looks like why Kharge's name is being put in place
when he was being
prompted,
when his name was being prompted as the AICC president, many even said that no, the Congress won't do this because he is their potential PM candidate face as well. So Mallikarjun Kharge, the versatility that he brings at this age, the way he's toiling hard, and I've seen it myself in Karnataka, it is commendable. But at the same time, let's not jump the gun here. No speculations per se. Actually, who am I kidding? It's all speculation, isn't it? It says SAD, Shiromani Akali Dal, won't join the opposition bloc. So Shiromani Akali Dal and the BSP both seems like out of it.
I think these are early decisions that are being taken. So I think when it comes to closer to the elections, those parties that if they are not in NDA nor on I.N.D.I.A on the national front, they'll be on the losing side. You were asking about the Aam Aadmi Party. It says here the Aam Aadmi Party leader wants Kejriwal as PM face. So probably that is why
rules CM
completely out.
Delhi Finance Minister Atishi on Wednesday said Aam Aadmi Party's national convener and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal was not in the running to become the Prime Minister of the country. Well, sad for all the Aam Aadmi Party supporters there, but trust me, he wasn't getting a chance in this I.N.D.I.A bloc. I mean, as far as
but again,
my limited opinion is concerned.
One of the crucial...
It also says here, when it's saying that Aam Aadmi Party's Arvind Kejriwal will not become the Prime Minister, it says here that news is also doing the rounds that Nitish is PM material, says JDU leaders. Ahead of opposition grouping India's third meeting in Mumbai, leaders of Bihar's ruling JDU leaders once again claimed that Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is Prime Minister material. But talks on seat sharing are going to be on.
That is where I would
but
like to
priority right now is the common minimum program, saying Sharad Pawar. But why is Sharad Pawar saying this when Pawar camp itself is eyeing seats under the I.N.D.I.A bloc in Haryana and Rajasthan.
See, Pawar, I think Pawar is also trying to ensure that, you know, he gets a foothold outside Maharashtra to an extent. But, you know, when you spoke about the I.N.D.I.A bloc, and you said that they are mostly going to look at for the CMP part of it, you know, the biggest contentious issue is going to be about seat sharing, because in some of these states, Congress is the principal opposition to the major I.N.D.A partners. Like, for example, the left front in Kerala, the CPIM, you have AAP in Punjab, and to an extent in Delhi as well. Your principal opposition is the Congress. So when you go on the ground, how will this complicated democracy actually work out? You will be alliance at the center and opposition and this thing at the state level, because it's going to be very tough to make sense out of this fact. But there seems to be the split personality going on in many places, especially when it comes to these aspects.
Well, absolutely. So what's going to happen? Pawar camp eyeing seats under I.N.D.I.A alliance in Haryana and Rajasthan. Meanwhile, Sharad Pawar himself saying that, you know, talks on seat sharing are definitely on, but the focus is now on the common minimum program. Who's going to be the convener of this, this particular I.N.D.I.A bloc? The name of Mallikarjun Kharge doing the rounds. Lalu Prasad Yadav saying that it's important for all of us to sit together. Arvind Kejriwal's not in the race of the Prime Minister, at least that's what the Aam party claims, at least for now. But
at least you have one confirmation from one party saying that they're not in the race.
Yeah, Nitish Kumar, on the other hand, being prompted and his name being thrown up as the probable prime ministerial face. But today, big meet, and we were showing those visuals as well. Look at the amount of leaders' posters that have been put up in Maharashtra. Akhilesh Yadav over there. You've got the Samajwadi Party. So represent Samajwadi Party. You've got Akhilesh Yadav. Several other leaders and their pictures that have come up. Mallikarjun Kharge's big poster, Rahul Gandhi's picture over there. Tejashwi Yadav also I can see probably a little bit over there.
There is that India meet. There is one picture that actually caught my eye in that India meet, which we were actually pointing out to. There is one poster in which you have all. Yeah, this is the one. You have all of them in that.
Wow, right. So that's the opposition alliances meet today, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of things will get cleared today on. And for yesterday's press conference, if I could take the viewers through the main portions of yesterday's press conference, because Uddhav Thackeray led yesterday's press conference. Now the I.N.D.A alliance said that they were very happy that the alliance meeting is going to take place in Maharashtra. In Bengaluru there were just 26 parties. Today in Maharashtra there are 28 parties that are going to be getting together. Of course, as I.N.D.I.A progresses, the BJP government may even have to give gas cylinders free, says
that is the biggest ironic statement that came out from them, saying that they had some clout about it.
Yeah, and at the same time, Uddhav Thackeray said on LPG prices, because LPG prices came down by 200%, 200 rupees. They're saying those who consider the whole country as their family have joined hands together to save Bharat Mata. Our ideologies may be different, but our objective is the same. And that picture of, Mamata Banerjee tying the Rakhi to Uddhav Thackeray says a lot, and it's gone more than, it's gone a longer way than you'd expect. Also, he said that, we keep meetings so that we can talk about all these things. All these things, essentially regional parties, his role. What is the seat sharing structure going to be like? And of course, we're all going to be meeting again. Before we move on, what are you expecting finally from this meet? What do you think is going to be the biggest thing that's going to come
I think they are going to, in fact,
is it going to be the logo, or is it going to be the name of the convener?
See, the logo, the convener, and probably the common minimum program as well. All that is fine. You have a structure being put into place. That is also fine. The 11 member committee, coordinating committee that you're planning to make, that is also fine. My biggest question is, how are you going to go with seat sharing, especially when you have allies in certain states who are your principal rivals in those states? I was just saying, like in the Congress is the principal rival of the CPM in Kerala. AAP is the principal rival of the Congress in Punjab. So how do you address these issues when it comes to grassroots levels? But Kabir, recently we had a story in which we came to know that the BJP, the CPM and the Congress all have come together and they were against the TMC when it came to the local panchayat polls to keep the TMC away. So I think local alliances and different kind of permutations and combinations are possible in this democracy. So I think that is why we will be still hair scratching democracy, because it doesn't follow the actual rules.
All right then, big day today when it comes for the I.N.D.A. block. Of course, you can vouch and tune into News 9 Live for all the latest developments. You can count on us. We'll be getting it to you, giving it to you in real time. Let's move on then. Is the Rahul Gandhi factor going to come to light today? The Mallikarjun Kharge factor will come to light today. Will the Congress again try to overshadow other parties, which many people thought, sort of like read between the lines with what happened in Bengaluru also. It was like D.K. Shivkumar's, family reception. That's how he was greeting everybody. That's how big the event actually also was as well.
I think that was organized by the Karnataka Congress, and this time was organized by the the NCP as well as the Shiv Sena. So I think
Shiv Sena UBT.
Shiv Sena UBT. The complications of I.N.D.I.A is all these factors that need to be kept.
All right then, let's move on, Varghese. 2 crime cases that have come to light from the national crime region or the capital region. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can decide for yourself. Let me tell you, the first one here, Amazon executive shot dead by gang which was led by an 18-year-old. The main suspect has been held. It claims that the victim had slapped the associate. Now the residents discovered that Gil, who's the victim here, was lying unconscious while the other person was gasping for breath. Cops have arrested Samir, whose picture has been given below in the newspaper here. It says Samir is already named in 4 murders. His Instagram bio introduces him as Naam Badnaam, address Kabristan, Umr Jeene Ki, Shauk Marne Ka. This is his Instagram bio. The 18-year-old is suspect in 4 murder cases, all as juvenile. Samir calls his group Maya Gang and refers to himself as Maya Bhai. So, a 36-year-old senior manager with Amazon was shot in the head from point blank range by a group of 4 to 5 armed assailants in northeast Delhi's Bhajanpura late on Tuesday night. His relative too was shot and is battling for life. The men fired in the air while fleeing, which is what the locals claim. So there's an act of, a delusion of grandeur at play over here as well, Varghese. Late on Wednesday evening, the Delhi Police's special cell cracked the case and nabbed the prime suspect, Samir, who's 18 years old. He is the kingpin of an emerging Maya gang, calls himself Maya Bhai, and has been allegedly involved in at least 4 murders. He is learned to have claimed that the man he killed, Harpreet Gill, had slapped his associate. Basically a Maya gang associate was slapped by this Amazon executive, which is why Maya Bhai took it upon himself, 18-year-old Maya Bhai took it upon himself to go and, well, bring the man to justice himself.
Another news that's coming in is that, especially, I'm trying to understand is from where do these people actually get that firepower that they actually have when they try to do these crimes. There is another story, and this time it's from Greater Noida. Man shot for refusing to pay extortion money in Greater Noida. A 35-year-old man was shot in the chest on Tuesday afternoon by an armed assailant for not paying extortion of 5 lakh in Greater Noida, police said. They added that the victim, identified as Ankur Agarwal, is currently in a stable condition after undergoing surgery. The victim's brother, Ankit Agarwal, said the assailant, Vinod, had been demanding extortion money from them for the past few days. On Tuesday, Vinod barged into our garment shop in Curly Hafizpur around 5 p.m. and fired a shot at my brother. He said, adding that Ankur was rushed to a nearby private hospital where he underwent a major surgery. So that's coming in from Greater Noida.
That coming in from Greater Noida essentially. And if that's not all, ladies and gentlemen, let me just quickly, let's first talk about the Bhajanpura murder, the one that we were talking about, Varghese. Now, we have to trace the rise of the Maya gang, and it seems like Times of India has done a decent job at it. It says the Bollywood-inspired kingpin, wanted for 4 murders before turning 18. Shootout in Delhi, tracing the rise of the Maya gang. Says bullet entered from the right side of the head and exited from the other side, is what the police say after the post-mortem report. Now, Maya King gang, with 2,000 plus followers on Instagram, Sameer used his social media platform to gain notoriety. Now, when it happened, 11:30 p.m. Tuesday. Where it happened, Subhash Vihar in Bhajanpura. Harpreet Gill, 36 years old, he's the person who died. The injured is Govind Singh. Both victims are relatives and residents of Bhajanpura. Gill worked as a senior manager in Amazon. Singh has a Momo's eatery in Bhajanpura. Gill's family claimed he got a promotion, was about to shift to Bengaluru. So again, just before that big good step, this happened. Now what happened? Gill and Singh were on their bike. They were passing through Subhash Vihar when they were spotted by the members of the Maya gang. One of them alleged that he was slapped by Gill last month and wanted to take revenge, which is why Maya Bhai and Maya gang members, the assailants cornered both of them and started shooting at them. Gill was riddled with bullets on the spot. Singh is alive. That's the situation right now. My goodness. I still can't get over his Instagram bio, which he's been flaunting for God knows how long. Naam badnaam, address Kabristan, umr jeene ki, shauq marne ka.
Well, the alleged confrontation, this is another version of
the
that
character of Maya, played by Vivek Oberoi in Shootout at Lokhandwala.
So that is the inspiration behind
that. That is the inspiration. Bollywood inspired Kingpin. This is Maya Bhai from Shootout at Lokhandwala.
There's another version for this. The alleged confrontation leading to the murder happened about 500 meters from their home, according to his uncle Bobby Gill, who was quoting eyewitnesses present near the spot. It was a narrow lane where two men riding on a motorcycle hit Harpreet's motorcycle and sped away. Instead of apologizing, they uttered some abuses while fleeing. Harpreet and Singh pursued them and asked them to apologize, and that is when the entire thing happened, is what they say.
And this is happening in the national capital at a time when, you know, because of the G-20, the NSG has been brought in, there are rapid action forces, the Delhi police is, on its feet throughout. And if this wasn't all, basically, there is another crime that has come to light. This one coming in from Ghaziabad, where you get a phone call. That you're going to be killed, and the next day you're shot inside your own chamber. Imagine this, fancy this. You're walking into an area where a lot of lawyers sit in their chambers. You know, there's a proper chamber area in every particular court. Thousands of people throng that area. You've got thousands of people who throng that area continuously. But there is no CCTV camera. It says here 500 chambers, 3,000 daily visitors, but no CCTV cams or scanners. That's the only footage that they have. Of the assailants coming in. Now one holds colleague at gunpoint, another kills him. This is what happened in Ghaziabad. The bullet punctured Monu's skull towards the left and the wall behind him in chamber number 95 at Sadar Tehsil, and the blood was splattered on the wall behind him. The attack likely stemmed from a family dispute, where was the lawyer a collateral or not is the thing that we'll have to find out. A lawyer eating lunch with a colleague in the latter's chamber on Wednesday afternoon was killed by two masked men who barged in and opened fire at point blank range. So two attacks that have taken place on point blank range. One of the shooters placed the gun on the forehead of Monu Chaudhary, who's 35 years old, and fired while his accomplice held Munesh Tyagi, his colleague, and a clerk at the Tehsil at gunpoint. Now the bullet punctured Monu's skull. The attack seemed to have stemmed from a family dispute. In a police complaint, Monu's wife Kavita named his brother-in-law Amit Dagar, who's Amit's brother, and parents and others, alleging they had threatened to ruin the lawyer's Raksha Bandhan celebrations just a few days ago. Now Munesh has told the Times of India that shouting happened around 2 p.m. I had just entered to the chamber after filling my water bottle, I beg your pardon, when the two armed men came inside. One of them shot Monu. As he slumped in the chair, they fled. I was so stunned that I could not move for the next 30 seconds. I was absolutely frozen. And of course, you would be frozen, wouldn't you? There's just the one CCTV camera. That's the problem here. These are the two assailants that are coming in on the bike. You've got 500 chambers over here. If two lawyers sit in those 500 chambers, you've got 1,000 people in those chambers, 3,000 throng that place daily. At an average, you've got 4,000 people coming to this place every day. Not one CCTV camera.
No, that's absolutely shocking. I mean, and that too in a place like this.
500 chambers, 3,000 daily visitors, no CCTV cameras or scanners. You know, now an FIR has been registered against Amit and his family under sections 147, which is writing, 148, which is writing armed with deadly weapon, 149, every member of unlawful assembly guilty of offence committed in prosecution of common object, for 302, which is murder, 506, which is criminal intimidation, and 120B, which is criminal conspiracy of the Indian Penal Code. 5 teams have been formed to arrest them. We are also checking CCTV footages of nearby areas. But what is that going to lead to? How is that going to help? So you've got the Greater Noida murder that you're talking about?
I mean, Greater Noida shooting that happened. The person has survived.
That you're talking about, he's critical right now.
He's critical now.
And
we have the lawyer that you just spoke about, and then you have a Maya gang that has come out from
Maya
nowhere.
gang out of a shootout from Lokhandwala
And
movie.
fed with the social media accolades. I mean, that's really something that I think the police will have to look into.
2,000 plus followers. Who's giving them this kind of energy? Who's giving them this kind of encouragement to go out and carry such things out? I mean, this is where that debate again comes to light, that what imitates what? Does art imitate life, or does life imitate art? And according to Wordsworth, well, it's vice versa. Both imitate each other.
But the fact remains is that...
So where do you draw the line then?
The fact remains over here is that one thing that Kabir, I have noticed is that one, we should talk about in all these 3 cases, it's the firepower. How are they easily able to get hold of this kind of firepower? That's one thing we have to look into. The security aspect of all this, and thirdly, how social media is in fact fueling all these aspects as well. I think on social media there should be some kind of guidelines, especially when it comes to the display of guns. And here is a person, I was just hearing to that article that you were reading out. 18 is what you said.
Anyway, so crime in NCR, the spurt in the crime in NCR is something that definitely the police will have to look at, and this is not just one police. It's going to have to be Uttar Pradesh police, it's going to have to be the Delhi police, and it's going to have to be the Punjab and Haryana police at these border points as well, because National Capital Region, it is a big region, and you can't put the blame on just one police.
No, you can't say on one police handling it,
yeah.
Since you have those areas. What you said is correct, but the fact remains right. I'm more shocked about the profile of the criminals, the way they are able to easily get firepower. 18-year-old
walking inside a judicial, a legal institution, going inside a chamber of a lawyer.
I mean, that is also challenging. I mean, there are people for hire for gun. I hope it doesn't become that out of kind of a situation where you saw in the 1980s and late 70s Mumbai, where had people strewing all around with guns and shooting and killing people, from businessmen to commoners. I hope that kind of a situation doesn't emerge in Delhi. But this is actually a scary part of the national capital region.
You know what, Varghese? Another thing that is common on all newspapers is, of course, the photograph of the Vikram lander. Chandrayaan 3, the elixir of Chandrayaan 3, we're still not over it, and we're already talking about an Aditya-L1. But before we talk about Aditya-L1, because final checks are done for Aditya-L1, take a look at what's happening on the moon, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday was that super blue moon, super rare blue moon, super rare, various combinations people have called it. I saw it with my own eyes, absolutely splendid and beautiful. It looked so close. I was thinking, maybe the lunar activity is going to maybe affect, how the waves are going to behave today. But thankfully, no untoward incidents in all those coastal areas as well. The moon looked really beautiful, and on the moon, our lander, Vikram lander, it's looking even more beautiful, because the Pragyan rover, it is moved up front, it is turned around, and it has clicked the picture of the lander Vikram. Take a look at that. Vikram as seen by Pragyan, ladies and gentlemen, on the 30th of August. And it's also marked out the 2 systems, the CHAS-TE system and the ILSA system, that you can see. ILSA that's dropped down onto the lunar surface, and the CHAS system that's probing the lunar ground. This is, the beauty of what the Pragyan rover's NAVCam is sending back home. I mean, the tweet also read, "Smile please." That's what the tweet said. The rover, turning around, looking at the lander Vikram and saying, "Smile please." Look at that picture. Straight out of a history book. This is going to go down in the history books for long time. For a long time.
Our children will be reading these lessons and also having these pictures on their textbooks for 100% for sure. And when you see that Vikram lander on that surface, I mean, that's a real moment of pride that you have. That is the effort that took for all these scientists to.
So in terms of the experiments that the lander and the rover are carrying out, we now know the temperature variation. We now know that sulfur and oxygen traces have been found apart from other elements, and also we now know that our rover can surpass easily over 100 millimeter crater on the lunar surface. If it's larger than 100 millimeter, then it can also take a different trajectory or maneuver. But what else are we picking up? What else are we learning?
Well, of course, now everybody is concentrating on the smooth operation of the Aditya-L1. They want that to in fact function. The coronagraph of Aditya-L1 will send 1,440 images of the sun, is what is being said, and it's already ready with regards to this. What we understand is that there is a good payload on it. Everything has been checked. The ISRO will be using a liquid apogee motor identical to the one that was used in the Mars and Moon missions, is what the chief is saying. The motor will shut down for the best part of the 4-month journey, but will be used at a critical juncture. So the ISRO is planning to launch the mission using Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle on September 2nd, that is day after tomorrow. Once the Aditya spacecraft exits the Earth's sphere of influence and heads towards the destination, that is the L1 point, which is 1.5 million kilometers, I think that is when we will be able to see a lot of these instruments functioning. So I think now let's, after Chandrayaan and the Vikram lander, of course, Chandrayaan 3 will keep sending a lot of pictures, but
Aditya-L1, 2nd of September, and of course, I've been saying it time and again, you can tune in to News 9 at 11:30, because 11:50 is when on that PSLV XL rocket, which is ISRO's own workhorse, the Aditya-L1 spacecraft is going to shoot up to the sky, and now the sky is not the limit, and hopefully soon neither will the sun be our limit, because at that Lagrange point, and this Lagrange point, people have been asking about what this Lagrange point is.
It is also one of the most searched scientific terms.
And I'll tell you what the Lagrange point 1 is. Basically, between these two bodies, where the sun is holding our solar system together because of its gravitational force, there is a point of negation between these two bodies, where the centripetal and the centrifugal forces cancel out each other. So it's basically a parking spot in space. It's called the halo orbit. Our spacecraft is going to take a very weird cruise trajectory and then make a U-turn and enter that halo. And once it's in that halo, it's just going to stay there for 5 years, at least on a minimum. And the best part about this is that from that point, from Lagrange point 1, it is going to have an unobstructed, absolutely clear view.
An uninterrupted view of the sun.
Absolutely uninterrupted. It's going to read, take magnetometer readings. It's going to various spectroscopes on the Aditya-L1 will also study, the coronal mass explosions, that little bright light that you can see on the screens also towards just the edge of the sun. Something that we can't see with our naked eyes, even when we're so far away from the sun. And it's important that we study the sun from space, Varghese, because it's the closest star to us. The next closest star is almost
Proxima Centauri, where it is 4.5 light years away.
So to reach 4.5 light years away, you're probably going to take more than a decade just to get there, and God knows how much time to send back all that data.
If you have, better propulsion than what we have of burning rocket fuel with hydrogen and oxygen, but that's the thing. But the closest, of course, is the sun, and this is actually another very, very ambitious attempt that has been carried out by ISRO.
Absolutely.
I
And
think
that's what the scientists are also happy about. That you're still talking about Chandrayaan-3. Now you're sending a sun probe into the space. You're soon going to talk about a Shukrayaan, a mission to Venus.
And
there's a manned mission, a
manned
crewed mission
Gaganyaan.
to the moon. There's so much that's happening already in terms of India's position on the high table of international space research. That's the spacecraft, ladies and gentlemen. That's the spacecraft. Final checks have been done. Just a couple of hours left before we finally send our spacecraft Aditya-L1 to Lagrange.
And it's a 4-month journey. It's a
4-month voyage. I don't call it a journey anymore because in the space they're all voyages. Journeys have started taking place on the sea now. Voyages have started taking place out in the
ocean.
space. So these are our two spacecrafts, ladies and gentlemen. Pragyan sending back that picture of the Vikram lander and Aditya-L1 that is soon going to be launched into the space. Now, let's shift our focus, ladies and gentlemen. Something really crucial and important that has been brewing up over the last couple of days. Cauvery water, the Cauvery river basin, and the water it holds. There's a lot of problem, lot of turmoil in terms of how it is being shared, and it's not something new. The same happened with Mekedatu water project also. And this time around with the Cauvery river management, you've got Tamil Nadu that is going on against with its loggerhead against the Karnataka government. Karnataka has more share of the water. Karnataka government wants to give only 3,000 cusecs of water to Tamil Nadu when Tamil Nadu is asking for 24,000 cusecs of water.
And
in the meantime, there is a river management authority that is saying that, okay, you guys keep on fighting, but in the meantime, Karnataka, please give Tamil Nadu 5,000 cusecs. Karnataka says, we can't give you more than 3,000 cusecs. Tamil Nadu is saying, what are you saying 3,000 cusecs? We're asking for 24,000 cusecs. And amid all of this, because Karnataka wants its water for its own farmers, Tamil Nadu says we want water to help our people who are living in the basin area. The Karnataka farmers have held an all-night protest. We've got visuals of that as well. And they're creating the right kind of pressure on the Karnataka government, which essentially means that it's not going to be easy for the Siddaramaiah government.
Cauvery has never been easy for any of the government who has been. That's why most of these governments actually prefer very good monsoon because they don't want to face the Cauvery issue. Over here, as we can see, the sit-in protests that are happening, especially these sit-in protests are happening only in one place. They are all happening in the Cauvery basin area. That is where majority of the farmers and the farming land is when it comes to the Cauvery river in Karnataka's place. So in the Cauvery basin area, we are seeing a large number of people who are trying to in fact ensure that they are not shortchanged, and there's a reason for this, Kabir, and the reason for this is very simple. None of the reservoirs are meeting the demand at all because the inflow has been very poor because of rain deficit in catchment areas. Now that is the catch in all this. Most of these dams are built in catchment areas, and when you have rain deficiency in catchment areas, there is no inflow to these reservoirs, and because there's no inflow to these reservoirs, there's no water to in fact share. Now the catch on the other side is that there's an increased acreage of farming in the Cauvery Delta area in Tamil Nadu, because of which standing crops require that kind of money water, and therefore they've been asking that it should be 24,000 cusecs. Now Karnataka is saying something interesting. It says that there needs to be a distress formula when it comes to sharing of waters. This year, when we don't have the kind of water that we require, especially during a deficit season, they have to in fact listen to what their own farmers are saying, and they can give only 3,000 cusecs. So that is the level at which the Cauvery dispute is going on. Also interestingly, the whole of Bengaluru city is dependent on Cauvery water. So water has to be pumped into the city as well. It has to meet the agricultural demands, and at the same time the reservoirs and the catchment areas, there is no water at all. So, and it's not the deficit rainfall is not only being recorded in Karnataka, it's also being recorded in Tamil Nadu as well. So it's only during these what I would say during these parched times that you actually find this dispute coming up every again. When there is copious rain and when there is a good monsoon and near to normal
all the
rainfall.
protesters, Varghese, they're also wearing black bands on their eyes. There are blindfolds. that the protesters...
They are a
farmers
huge
worried.
pressure group, Kabir. When you look at the Cauvery Basin farmers, they can decide which government sits in power in Bengaluru. They can in fact break down governments as well. They are a huge pressure group. They have a history of bringing governments down if you don't listen to it. And they have been the forefront of agitation when it comes to the Cauvery Basin farmers. They have been in the forefront of it. Some of them have even taken the extreme step of in fact jumping onto the reservoirs, into the river, and committing suicide, saying they won't let the water flow. So that's why I said no government wants a bad monsoon in Karnataka, because that means they have to face the Cauvery River dispute. And many a times what happens is that Bengaluru Chennai, that highway tends to become the focus point of that tension. You see blockades happening, you see tires being put up, and the Hosur area, which is Hosur is the next district from which Tamil Nadu starts from Bengaluru's side. That is where the action actually shifts to. And then you have the cinema industry of both Tamil Nadu as well as Karnataka supporting each other's claim on that river. If you ask me, this is a historical problem that has started, because when the British made those assessments with regard to the amount of water that they require and amount of water that the Mysuru kingdom required, they were not looking into the present realities as such. And there has always been experts saying that we must limit the acreage of farming when it comes to the Cauvery area, especially whether it's in the delta area or whether it is in the basin area. But none of the governments have been following it, because it directly tends to affect the voting prospects of both of them, because in the Cauvery Delta area you have farming communities that are vote banks of all the parties, and they too, just like the farming community in the basin area can bring down governments, the farming communities in the Delta region of Cauvery can also bring down governments.
Well, will it bring down the Siddaramaiah government or not? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. And whether the Siddaramaiah government can diplomatically tackle the situation with the M.K. Stalin government in Tamil Nadu, that is also going to be focused.
And remember,
but it seems like there's a double battle that Siddaramaiah has to fight.
He has to look for the state. Secondly, he has to ensure that the DMK and the Congress do not get into a situation from which they cannot wriggle out, because both of them are key pillars of the India alliance.
Okay. That's another tussle to look at. I just wanted to show you guys this photograph of the blue moon right on the top of the India Gate, and you'll get a reference of how big the moon actually was last night. But even before I do that, there's a headline that I was just reading, a really gut-wrenching headline. It says, was headed to Ludhiana for Rakhi, woman sticks neck out of bus, crushed by another vehicle. That's the update, Varghese. A woman stuck her neck out of a bus, got crushed by another vehicle, and was headed to Ludhiana for Rakhi. Meanwhile, the picture that I wanted to show you, just take a look at this picture. This picture right over here. Can the camera person just zoom in on this picture right here? Just take a look at the size of the moon, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at the size of the moon. That's how huge. The building below it is the magnificent India Gate. This is the Kartavya Path, and right there you can see the big huge moon. Look at the size, Varghese. Look at it.
That's a beautiful click.
And that's all I could do in any case when I was looking at the moon. I just kept on looking at it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to shift our focus to Manipur. Latest news and developments from Manipur. Then we'll talk about the CBI taking over those cases and how many of those cases are pertaining to violence against women. 2 Jawans, 5 locals injured as firing continues in Manipur. Since the 3rd of May, at least 157 people have been killed in the ongoing violence in Manipur. At least 7 people, including 2 India Reserve Battalion personnel, were injured as armed miscreants from both Kuki and Methi communities in ethnic strife-torn Manipur engaged in intermittent firing throughout Wednesday. And this is just one day after the assembly session. And people were saying that, a calmness is starting to settle in Manipur. And this is how, the calm was shattered. Gunfire. The firing started on Tuesday morning after 26-year-old farmer Salam Jotin Singh, a resident of Naran Sena, was shot dead by miscreants. Singh sustained a bullet injury but survived. Now, columns of army and Assam rifles are present at the spot. The situation is tense, but firing has finally stopped just now, which is what a senior security officer said on Wednesday night, requesting anonymity. Miscreants from the hills also fired mortars. So there is not just firing, people are throwing mortars as well, while those in the valley used automatic guns, is also what the officer has added. 2 battalions of the India Reserve Battalion, a special armed force of the state, were deployed in the area to control the firing. The miscreants also attacked the IRB personnel, resulting in bullet injuries to 2 Jawans as well. So firing and war-like structure and guerrilla warfare is far from
just
over.
short of a civil war that you're talking about, because the kind of weapons that you're talking about, mortars being fired, automatic weapons being used. One of the persons said that a defense source, this is I'm quoting from the Hindu, a defense source said that mortars and automatic weapons were being used by the groups in the hills and valleys to fire at each other, while the hill district of Churchandpur is Kuki Zoo dominated, Vishnupur in the valley is Methi dominated. The inter-district boundary of the buffer zone, now this is what they're calling it, they have made their own boundaries and they have created buffer zones as well. I mean, who brings in these terms and who is the authority sanctioning these things also? It just shows that the people who are supposed to in fact take care of law and order have just
That's the Manipur police
there.
tweet that we put out yesterday as well. Essentially the search operations, the recovery of arms and weapons and ammunitions and the constant protests that are taking place, the politicians going in their respective huddles, there is no steps forward that one can see or essentially assess on the ground, which goes on to speak volumes about what the current dispensation at the center and in the state of Manipur are doing about the situation in Manipur. Just mere lip service or your report on what you've done in Manipur. Take a look at this, 27th of August. Again houses gutted, again looted, and I mean of course some of them were abandoned houses, but it's still the message that one community is trying to send to the other community, that you're going to be burnt to the ground.
You're not welcome anymore.
You're not welcome anymore. And the CBI that is now taking the cases, do you think that the CBI has to do with too much right now? 27 cases of Manipur violence are with the CBI, at least 18, 19 related to crimes against women in that particular list. And we already saw what that video did to the entire nation when it came about.
See, Kabir, the CBI taking up the case, of course, with the pressure from the court is actually a welcome step, because in a place where there is no semblance of law and order, at least the CBI investigating the case would at least give some kind of an idea that justice can be served. And they are taking a lot of precautions as well. As you rightly pointed out, 19 cases are crimes against women. So they've taken a lot of precautions. They have changed officers. They have ensured that there are many women officers in the teams that are investigating these cases. And also, it also tries to give that kind of a message, saying that these crimes might have happened when a huge riot was going on, but no one will go unpunished if they are in fact caught. This is a message that they want to give on the ground as well, and also to reassure those women who had to face these brutal assault, that to reassure them that the state is with them when it 100%. Comes to their ordeal, when it comes to the battle that they are fighting, because most of them are survivors.
I think ordeal is, calling it an ordeal is
ordeal is a small word, in fact. It's a small word. It's an understatement.
Applied is an understatement. Their lives have been shattered. It has come to a complete halt. Think about the kids. Think about, this is what's happening in Manipur right now. What you're seeing right now, this is Manipur. Completely strife-torn. The ethnic violence is just not stopping here.
It happened on May 3rd. Now it is May, June,
now the investigation
July,
has
August.
gained momentum. Investigation has gained momentum. Why? Well, because now we know who's at least probing these cases. The 27 cases that CBI has taken over, 19 related to crimes against women. Take a look at this.
This is out of the 6,000 FIRs, remember.
Absolutely. See, 6,000 FIRs, to peruse through 6,000 FIRs is not an easy job for any executive body. 53 officers have been selected by the top brass of the CBI. This includes 29 women officers. Out of those 53, 29 are women. They've been drawn from various units of the federal agency from across the country to probe this particular cases. 19 cases of crimes against women, 3 related to armory loot by a mob, 2 of a murder and 1 each of rioting, murder, kidnapping and general criminal conspiracy. These are the cases that CBI is going to in fact be undertaking. Now, with society in Manipur divided on ethnic lines, the CBI is facing the critical task of avoiding allegations of bias during the operation, because that is something that the Manipur police and the Assam Rifles have run into. So we'll have to wait and watch as to what happens, but at least finally one more step that has been taken in terms of a team that has now been constituted. 53 members, 29 of them are women, 27 cases that they'll take up, 19 out of them are going to be crimes related to women, and of course other cases as well of loot, arson, robbery, murder and general conspiracy as well. But the bottom line still remains that no forward steps essentially that have been taken in Manipur. And the idea is not to spread misinformation or disinformation. There is a lot of disappointment where this limited opinion is coming from, because number one, not a lot of people from across the length and breadth of the country really know what's happening over there. It's a very sensitive case, a lot of socio-economic fault lines. One has to first understand Manipur to even start thinking about a possible solution. But even if there's no solution, there must be reconciliation. But today we're so far away from reconciliation, we can't even see or hear the hour. Let's shift our focus here, ladies and gentlemen. Dainik Bhaskar, some Hindi headlines for you as well. Right here on the top page it says, 15 महीने में क्रूड 31% सस्ता, तेल कंपनियां 31,000 करोड़ के प्रॉफिट में, मुनाफे में, पेट्रोल डीजल सस्ता क्यों नहीं? Question mark. That's a big headline. And already we're talking about LPG prices that have been slashed by 200 rupees. It is poll season. Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, and of course the Big Daddy O, general election 2024, and of course Rajasthan as well. All these elections, you know, these are poll bound states. We are poll bound as a country, and it's natural that, you know, prices will drop. Now the Congress party is Jairam Ramesh coming out and saying that, you know, expect the ruling dispensation to even give you more gifts in the time to come. Sharad Pawar and Lalu Prasad Yadav, several members of the I.N.D.I.A bloc, saying कि अभी तो तेल free भी हो जाएगा.
I mean, LPG will become free also.
It will all get free also. So we'll have to wait and find out. But meanwhile, महंगाई की मार में आपके लिए ये ताज़ा खबर, 15 महीने में क्रूड 31% सस्ता, तेल कंपनियां 31,000 करोड़ के मुनाफे में, लेकिन पेट्रोल डीजल सस्ता क्यों नहीं? ये है भास्कर एक्सपर्ट की एक्सप्रेस रिपोर्ट. But the story that I really wanted to talk about and point out as well is that Imran Khan story. The former Pakistan Premier, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, that cricketer, somebody who's so adored, and the sway he has on the amongst the common people on the ground is impeccable. Tosha Khana case, where he was sentenced to 3 years in prison and 1 lakh Pakistani rupees, that verdict has been suspended. Now, once the verdict has been suspended, and I was speaking to several colleagues and you know, various people from Pakistan as well, there are other cases in which he might get arrested and be thrown back in jail. There are other cases. There are several ways of you know, tying the noose, tightening the noose rather, around Imran Khan. But what this verdict suspension has done is that it has irked the Pakistan army. And in the deep state, the Pakistan army is what controls everything. The Pakistan army will control the rice that you get at home, the curd that you get at home, and also the car that you're buying from the market. That's what Pakistan's army is. And this is what the headline reads. It says, Pakistan, siyasat par sena ka shikanja. Imran ko rahat se fauj khafa. Purv ISI chief nazar band. So a former ISI chief has been detained. I mean, how does that play out? I can understand that the army is miffed with the fact that Imran Khan, you know, the verdict was suspended, Imran Khan got a relief, and the idea of what the Supreme Court said that, you know, there are procedural lapses in IHC.
No, but see, what happens is that, you know, there is this popular adage about Pakistan army, that it is the only army in the world which has a country to look into, while the rest of the world has countries that have armies. So you understand the kind of shift in focus it is. And you rightly pointed out, they are into everything from cement to industry to a lot of these generals have also made money to the point that they have settled abroad as well. So,
absolutely.
You know why Pakistan's economy is on collapsing mode because of it. But when it comes to Imran Khan, Kabir, the thing is, it was an indirect coup against Imran Khan using his existing political rivals. we were speaking 2 days back about how it is technically a bipolar contest between the Bhuttos and the Sharifs, and then suddenly you have someone like Imran Khan parachuting into that entire equation. But the problem is Imran Khan's idea is a little more dangerous. Why it is more dangerous? Because it's trying to install a kind of democracy that tries to question. And Pakistan is not used to a democracy that questions, but rather which is subservient to the wills and whims and fancies of the army, and the army used to dictate everything. Now they realized that slowly and steadily he was building a kind of a democracy or an idea of democracy in Pakistan that tend to question everything, including their institutions. They were happy as long as it was, towards the opposition parties or the local bureaucracy. They were happy till there. But then when they started questioning issues about how Pakistan's army was dealing with a lot of things, and open statements by Imran Khan, well, technically they didn't go for a coup, but they used Imran's rivals to bring him down. And of course these cases have been put forward as well. But Imran, I think the Pak army had a problem with both the Sharifs and the Bhuttos coming to power, and therefore they just wanted a third option, and now that third option has run its course, so they're just going back to the old players in that game, and they have also happily played along with
even
the
when
army.
Nawaz Sharif, that there are proper grapevines that are doing the round, and Nawaz Sharif might be on his way back, and maybe Imran Khan is standing there with his bouquet of flowers right at the front of the red carpet. Now this is what
because Tosha Khana's case was actually initiated by PMLN, that is Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz.
Right, absolutely. पाकिस्तान के पूर्व पीएम इमरान खान को तोशा खाना केस में राहत से फौज खफा है। आर्मी चीफ आसिम मुनीर के आदेश पर अब इमरान के करीबी आईएसआई के पूर्व चीफ फैज हमीद, आईएसआई फॉर्मर चीफ फैज हमीद की गिरफ्तारी की तैयारी है। फैज इस्लामाबाद में नजरबंदी की हालत में हैं। उनके फार्म हाउस के बाहर सेना तैनात हो गई है। मुनीर के फैज को गिरफ्तार करने का प्लान के दो कारण बताए जा रहे हैं। पहला, इमरान को सुप्रीम कोर्ट से 16 सितंबर से पहले बेल संभव है। दूसरा, फैज हमीद की गिरफ्तारी से इमरान की पार्टी पीटीआई पूरी तरह टूट जाएगी। फैज ही पर्दे के पीछे से अभी पीटीआई को चला रहे हैं। So basically, trying to nip it at the bud is essentially what Munir is trying to do.
See, there are a lot of shadow points in Pakistan. I mean, we've been seeing that sometimes the ISI has its own playing, and therefore there are these ex-ISI chiefs also who tend to play politics from the curtains behind these shadows. Internal politics that is at play, a very non-transparent kind of a democracy, and then you have the army at large. I think a lot of internal politics is also at play when it comes to Imran Khan. And when you're talking about the ISI chief actually running PTI from the curtains behind, well, it just shows that there are interest groups within every group in Pakistan. So let's see. I mean, let's see how this is going to pan out. It says, I think the Hindu had said that, you rightly pointed out, it will take at least 2 weeks for him to walk out free. But if he walks out free, what is going to be the impact on this?
All right, I'm really interested in talking about, because when we're talking about international news, we must talk about the G20 summit. I'm going to talk about it every day, because every day there is something to talk about the G20 summit. Yesterday we told you about how the National Security Guard has been brought in. They've been placed on various building tops. They're a proper sniper, like, all those Hollywood movies. All of that is happening in the national capital because we're trying to build it into a fortress. Now take a look at this. For G20, rainbow shades on Delhi walls. The Delhi cops getting chain cutters to tackle protesters as well. The G20 must focus on development, not politics, says Amitabh Kant, who's the former Niti Aayog, CEO. So much is that is happening in terms of the G20 summit. Take a look at this, a night vision which says a city decked up, at various places, these murals have come up, these lightings, the decorations have come up when we're talking about the G20 summit. But the summit clash, this is how the Times of India puts it, the summit clash, cops are going to get chain and bolt cutters to break the G20 protests. The segment is called Curbing Protests. The intel input: demonstrators, Tibetans mainly, may try to stage a protest against Chinese President Xi Jinping. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's hotel may be targeted by demonstrators. In terms of the police's preparedness, the cops have been shown videos of modus operandi used by protesters during past summits. Cops have also studied the protest patterns in the West and then decided their counteraction. Focus is to curb and snap flash demonstrators. Cops have divided the areas and routes near venues into 11 zones that will be headed by additional deputy commissioners of police. 5 to 6 police stations have been identified in outer north, outer and Rohini districts where protesters will be detained. Social media teams have been formed to keep a watch on protests and demonstrations. And in terms of the anti-protest equipment that the police has now got, so it's like a new lease of life for these police personnel as well. They've had to do their own study. I'm telling you, they're not happy with the G20 summit, with the work that they had to do, clocking in double shifts. The police to procure chain or bolt cutters to tackle protesters. The COP will also deploy anti-protest vehicles called Vikrant with riot handling equipment like tear gas shells, batons and the water cannon. The vehicles will be deployed at 6 strategic locations around venues and along the routes. Police has also been asked to keep blankets ready to stop immolation bids in central Delhi. So self-immolation bids in central Delhi. Take a look at that. That's what I was talking about. A city that is decked up in the night, from B20 to G20. One earth, one family, one future. Words of the Prime Minister.
Well,
echo large.
G20 has a history of seeing protests. We have seen climate activists going ahead with the protests. We have seen, in many places, some local political events also being highlighted, because there are these diasporas that tend to take up causes in their own homes or in their home countries, and then they try to, in fact, use the G20 venue for those protests. That's one part of it. And as you rightly pointed out, Kabir, yesterday when I was on the way to the airport, I did see a lot of these murals, a lot of the city being decked up for G20, and a lot of welcome messages for the G20 delegates, saying that we welcome G20 delegates, boards and signs being kept all across the place. And of course, what the Prime Minister has been hinting at also, one world, one family, one future. He's been has also been spread out in many places. And recently, you also showed me how the paintings at underpasses, flyovers were also being done up to display the complete culture of India as such.
Absolutely. But there's another question at play over here, Varghese, which is that of the traders, because the traders have questioned the closure of Lutyens' markets from the September 7th till the 10th. So a lot of people will have to do away with their business for these 3 days.
And also they've been told that they have to give paid holidays to their employees. The traders have been told that they have to give paid holidays for their employees as well.
Well, if they don't give paid holidays, then that means you're landing up in a soup because of the protest.
Yeah, and it's 5 days of business, almost a week of business that you're not looking at, because from 7th through 11th, I think the shutdown has been called on. So a lot of them are not happy with that, because 5 days of business tends to be going, and that is what is worrying most of the traders. They said that they had to be consulted before they went ahead with this kind of.
So even as the Delhi Metro achieves a record of 69.9 lakh passenger journeys in a single day, there are 8 hospitals that have been stationed on high alert, a team of medicos on 24-hour duty at the hotels as well. The Delhi government has put 5 government and 3 private hospitals on high alert to ensure that healthcare arrangements are in place during the G20 summit in early September. A team of 80 medicos, Varghese, including doctors, nursing staff, has also been formed for deployment at hotels where the guests will stay.
Since you were talking about G20, there is an interesting bit that's coming in. Apparently, there is a cloud of uncertainty over Chinese President Xi's G20 summit participation. China is exploring options to depute Premier Li Qiang. Russian president has already deputed Foreign Minister Lavrov for this. So China urges, in the backdrop of what has happened, I think that is the reason why they have decided on that. So there's a cloud of uncertainty whether Xi will be attending this particular meet. I'll just read out the first 2 paragraphs of
Wait a minute, so there's a possibility that Xi Jinping might not attend?
Yeah, that is, and you would have Premier Li Qiang actually going ahead and attending the G20 meet. With a cloud of uncertainty hanging over Chinese President Xi Jinping's participation at the G20 summit, China is exploring options to depute Premier Li Qiang for the mega events to be held here from September 8th to 10th. While most heads of governments and states of G20 members and invitees will be present for the summit, there is a cloud of uncertainty over Xi's visit here next week. It has been reliably learnt Xi has last visited India in 2019 for the 2nd edition of the informal summit at Mamallapuram. You remember how the Prime Minister was in fact dressed in the traditional
so the map,
this thing.
The map's interpretation India calling it absurd, the China responding by saying that, don't overeat. By the way, how can China tell the other country to not overread their inclusion of our state inside their own territory? How do we not overread
And not
this
to
situation?
overinterpret.
And
I mean,
not call it absurd? What else does one call it?
It was, the term used is cartographic aggression, and I remember this term being used by most of the journalists who cover the kind of map, I call the map psychological war of China.
How is this being carried out in broad daylight? I mean, you're coming out and telling us that don't misinterpret us using your state within our territory on a new map in part of our awareness scheme back in Beijing. Don't overread this. Don't overread this misinterpretation.
I think if Xi Jinping is unable to come for this G20 meet, that means the map controversy, the build-up at Aksai Chin, we must read all that in one context.
The meeting on the sidelines of the BRICS summit, the meeting on the sidelines of the BRICS
disengagement,
summit. Absolutely.
Talks, all that needs to be read.
But so the NSG has been brought in. The police is going to be, procuring more bolt cutters and chain cutters to stop these protests. They have studied the Western protests that have taken place, and apart from that, the city has been decked up. We already showed you those beautiful visuals. Now, hotels are also going to prepare to wow the G20 delegates with their special millets menu. There are wholesome flavors. This is the year of the millets in India as well. And when the Prime Minister visited United States for a full state visit, they spoke about, how millets was of great significance. Jowar, ragi, foxtail, sorghum, bajra. At least one hotel will host a millet bar. Another hotel planning to impress guests with its kitchen garden. A chef said the plan is to showcase the entire landscape of India in one plate. People and all the delegates are bound. They're certainly bound to be going gaga over this particular aspect. All right, let's shift our focus now here.
Kabir, I think one very important story.
There was a UN agency report that actually said that 74% of Indians, 74%, and that's a huge number, 74% of Indians do not consume a healthy diet. We initially began the show by talking about how, food security here will become a larger debate as to how many people even get food to eat.
See, look at this.
But
is what
a healthy diet for those who are also getting food. A healthy diet. 74% of us do not get a healthy diet. What is a healthy diet? What is the story telling us?
So, the story is like this. In India, the headline, of course, is like that. In India, 74%, that is around probably 3/4 of a country can't afford a healthy diet. UN agency, this is a UN agency report. While food prices remain relatively low in India, a healthy diet is unaffordable to nearly 3/4 of the people given their low incomes. Now, this is what it says. The report, State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World, SOFI 2023, published last month, shows that while the cost of healthy diet has increased in recent years in India, it is still the lowest among BRICS nations, including newly added 6 countries. That's even shocking. The other countries that have been added are Saudi Arabia, Iran, Ethiopia, Egypt. All right. Argentina. So it is lower than them. It is lower than them.
Lower than Argentina.
Yeah. So India features at the bottom of the list since income levels are stagnant or going down. SOFI is published by the Food and Agriculture Organization and jointly produced with fellow United Nations agencies. Now, the data published on Wednesday included that cost of meals in Mumbai rose by 65% in 5 years, while salaries and wages rose by just 28% to 37%. Mumbai was chosen as an exemplar due to the availability of consistent data. Today's analysis takes a broad view of comparing India's numbers with other countries. So, I mean, that is the level at which, what they are trying to say is this, that while the cost of food has increased, your salaries and wages have not increased. And that is why a lot of Indians are unable to go for a healthy diet. They have, in fact, have a huge set of graphics. Do people
today, in today's time, even understand what a healthy diet today is? People get down in the comment sections, what according to you is a healthy diet? What is a healthy diet? I mean, do we have the simple, bifurcation of proteins, carbohydrates and fats? or is it much more than that? People today talk about the good fats, the bad fats, you know, how nutrition is spoiling our circadian rhythm.
It is all about the nutritional fact, including your micronutrients when they talk about the healthy diet that we are looking at. And probably people cutting on the aspect of certain kind of food or consumption of certain kind of food because it just goes above the pay grade. That is the point. And that is in fact shocking because it says that the income levels are stagnating, because of which this is actually happening. And you know, there are 4 charts they have put out. I'll just tell you what the chart is.
This is on the Hindu, right?
This is in the Hindu.
On the
This is the
editorial
Hindu
page of the Hindu. Those who have subscribed to the Hindu or would like to, you know, visit their e-website, it's a story that the Hindu has done, which says 74% of Indians actually don't consume a healthy diet. Any interesting inferences from the charts that they've given out?
They've given one interesting aspect about the increase in price for a healthy diet, especially before COVID and after COVID. So, chart 3 shows that the change in the cost of healthy diet over years across regions. Between 2019, that is before the COVID-19 pandemic, and 2021, the expense of maintaining healthy diet increased by almost 9% in Asia. That is the highest across all the regions. So COVID has also led to the increase in the cost of good food, or healthy food. So the other thing is that chart 4 shows the change in the number of people who were unable to afford healthy diet over the years. Asia, followed by Africa, recorded the highest growth of the number of people who could not afford healthy diet. So they have an Asia perspective on this, and in that they were talking about India, which is said to be at the bottom of all the BRICS nations, especially the new ones that have been added as well. So quite a concerning figure that they have got, and they used Mumbai as a data analysis aspect.
All right, so do check out this particular story, and of course questions are going to be asked to the right kind of authorities as well. On the front page of the Times of India, just to quickly take you through this as well, it's important. The President's call on mercy pleas is now going to be final, Varghese. No appeal, which is what the BNSS bill proposes. This is what it is all about. No more last minute hearing drama is what the Times of India is asking. Under the BNSS bill, President's decision on mercy petition cannot be appealed. How the decision was arrived at cannot be inquired into by any court. So essentially, when you're talking about a death penalty or capital punishment, how that decision was arrived at cannot be inquired by any court. The Supreme Court has held that exercise of prerogative powers like clemency and pardon by President and the Governor may be challenged. Several death row prisoners have approached court against rejections of their mercy pleas. The Supreme Court had held dramatic late night hearings on appeals by Mumbai blast convict Yaqub Memon in 2015 and Nirbhaya convicts in the year 2020, seen variously as a fair chance or as judicial activism. Many are calling it judicial activism. Now, the BNSS bill also stipulates that in case of many death row convicts in a case, their mercy pleas will be forwarded and decided on together. Now, in what will do away with judicial review of decisions taken by the President on mercy petitions of the death row convicts, the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita bill, the BNSS 2023, seeks to bar appeals against any orders made by the President in exercise of the power to grant pardon or commute a death sentence under Article 72 of the Constitution.
Now,
another constitutional change, ladies and gentlemen. The President's call for mercy is going to be final, no more appeals after that.
Well, that seems to be interesting because we have seen how a lot of cases have come in where, the date of the death sentence had to be changed because of these pending files, and then you see the entire hearing happen and then finally the sentence being carried out. But in a country where capital punishment is still there or is given in a rare occasion, this is something that I think is supposed to be used only when there is some kind of an emergency or what the President, once that appeal goes, should be using those powers in that case. Otherwise, if the courts have given a death sentence on the aspect, of course, it remains untouched. But then I think the issues about, even challenging the President on this, especially on the mercy petition, and the kind of drama it created when it came to the issue about whether he's going to get it, he's not going to get it, and, keeping the person also waiting for a long time, which tends to, in fact, is also something that is cruelty in itself. So I think those aspects have been looked into when this particular change in the laws in BNSS is being brought in.
Absolutely. All right. So it seems like we've pretty much covered, a major portion of that list. In terms of the stories that, we can build upon during the day, is of course, one is of that first flight to Shivamogga. So those traveling to Shivamogga in, another part of Karnataka, well, the first flight to Shivamogga, it begins from today. When we're talking about aviation, let me also tell the ladies and gentlemen that are tuning in to the show right now that Varghese, the United States Senate, the Congress has passed that US-India jet deal. So that is now more than just being there on the cards.
The engines for our future set of LCAs, that is
light combat
aircrafts. We were using the General Electric F404 engines.
Right.
Now we are getting a little more powerful version of it, which is the F414 engines, and I think it is an effort to also transfer technology, certain aspect of that critical technology, and the US seems to be looking at it because Russia and France have understood that India's weapon purchases are dependent on TOTs. So if you want to get that lucrative deal, you need to have the transfer of technology.
Yeah, don't just give us the final product.
You just don't
give us the technology
product
as well.
We will look at the TOT and we are looking at co-development as well. So if you want to land up in a good market with India, and the US has been able to, make that slice, but still dominated by Russia, France and Israel, the US also had pretty much of deals with India.
And this was one of the prime agenda when the Prime Minister visited the United States. As part of his full state visit was the jet transfer technologies from General Electric.
And we as a country, we have been trying to, get an indigenous engine for the LCA, like the Cauvery engine was an example.
Remember those shots, remember those shots? That meeting is the reason why today the Congress has passed that particular.
They've given a no objection certificate, and it's going to be a huge, big boost for General Electric, because we are still not sure in our efforts to prop up our squadron numbers, which has been depleting. We are supposed to have technically a 44 squadron air force, but our numbers have been depleting, and probably we are going to face a two-front war is what some of our strategy experts have said, and for that you require at least 44 squadrons, which is the minimum requirement. For that we require to boost up those numbers, and LCAs are supposed to come in handy then. So you're going to look at a huge level of deal that the General Electric is going to get on that front.
All right, and very recently I was dropping Varghese to a nearby metro station when suddenly we saw some college students, and a couple of college students had those ripped jeans over here on the knees, and my man right here, he essentially did not really like that particularly.
You make me look like...
What do you have to say about this particular news where, won't wear torn jeans? Kolkata college students told to give undertaking. Kolkata college students have been asked to write an undertaking where they have to say that they are not going to wear torn jeans. Defending the decision, Principal Purna Chandra Maiti said, we don't want our students to come to the campus in such attires. They will have to give it in writing that they will not wear such outfits before the admission. But hey man, fashion for everybody. Fashion is unique, isn't it? You can have a uniform, but then have that uniform for everybody. But if there is no uniform, then shouldn't the students feel free to, be independent to decide what they want to wear? Because why I'm telling you this is, you go to school, you have a proper uniform structure for the longest time, then you finally enter college, and that's when you broaden your horizon. You start wearing fancy clothes. You start wearing.
That is the debate that we're having in the car is not about. I mean, for me,
that vanity factor.
The vanity factor kicks in, and therefore, but I'm not being that conservative as you pointed out to be. See, the issue that I was trying to raise is that if the college, what primarily would have the problem with is that if they have a guest coming in, and it's a formal setup that you're looking at, and then you have a group of students having torn jeans for those summits, and it reflects quite poorly is what a lot of teachers would say, because you're looking at a formal setup, you're looking at a guest coming in from outside, and having this perfectly with your friends when you go outside, and this thing is fine, but only appropriate wearing for appropriate requirements. If you are not attending that summit, of course you can wear it to college if your college permits it, but then when you go to certain aspects where certain programs and meetings that are being organized, they do respect a certain sense of behavior. You don't go to a 5-star hotel attending a very important business meet in torn jeans, do you?
This is actually a good topic for another debate. We'll try and place a debate around fashion, clothes, attires, college and education. and who has the final say in these matters. That's all the time we have for you this time around. 33-year-old Larissa Borges, who is a fitness influencer, passed away due to a cardiac arrest. Those people who are taking it a little too hefty in the gym, try to take it easy a little bit as well. Dil da mamla hai dilbar. Take it easy. All is well. That's how you should, keep your heart calm. And these HIIT workouts, they're not helping anybody. All right then. Again, 370. Article 370 hearing in the Supreme Court, that's coming up at 11 a.m. After that, we'll talk about the I.N.D.I.A. Bloc's meet. All the latest updates from there in real time. We'll bring that to our viewers. Over the afternoon, the top news from South India with the South Indian, Sudha Sadanan. And of course, in the evening at 8 p.m, all the international stories under the global lens. And at 7 p.m, the debate that you should not miss out on. Varghese P. Abraham, Kabir Naqvi, signing off. Keep watching Newsline Live, ladies and gentlemen.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it.
It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the